Elbaf's heaven realm likely has a false sun god ruling it. Throughout the One Piece world, from Skypiea to Marijoa, heaven has always and consistently been used to refer to areas where there is a false god or gods ruling over others. But it's not just the title, Heaven Realm alone, that's a giveaway. With the opening chapters of the arc, Oda dropped several major clues in plain sight through the first two characters of Elbaf, Roto and Loki, that give away the truth regarding what the sun god actually means in Elbaf. Because much like the wondrous land of Skypiea, Elbaf is not the paradise that it seems like on the surface. There is something about this island that is still being hidden from us. And the answer is up there in Heaven Realm, with all signs indicating a deity that is likely to be one of the most powerful beings that the Straw Hats have ever faced, and likely the source of the conflict of this arc. So let's break down how all signs point to this false sun god of Elbaf. But before we get into it, I've got a fantastic deal for you this holiday season. If you're trying to think of a gift to get your dad, your brother, your friend, your partner, whoever it may be, you can get 20% off Manscaped's Chairman Pro and free shipping. Manscaped is the sponsor of this video, and the Chairman Pro is the best beard trimmer on the market. I've been using this for over a year at this point, and it's just so fast, smooth, and easy with its skin-safe 4-blade foil and stubble trimmer. I've even shaved live for my viewers on stream because I know I'm not going to get any nicks or cuts with it. And I'm going to look really good in the end. This is the highest quality, most advanced, and sleekest grooming tool that you can gift someone. It's the kind of gift that they're going to remember, and it's going to immediately replace whatever they were already using for grooming. So if you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, or you're just looking to upgrade your own grooming routine to look better, then get the Chairman Pro. Use promo code MORGE to get 20% off your order, plus free shipping at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free international shipping with promo code MORGE at manscaped.com, link in the description below. So to begin with, even though Elbaf seems extremely beautiful, fantastical, and dreamlike on the surface, we were told that there is something dangerous about staying here. We were also told that there's still one realm of Elbaf that is yet to be explored, Heaven Realm, and there is still yet to be any primary villain established for this arc. This whole setup parallels one specific prior story arc in One Piece most blatantly, which is Skypiea. In Skypiea, we were presented a dreamlike magical island where we were then given a warning towards the beginning that all was not as it seems, and that there was something ominous about this place at the core of it. In Skypiea, there was also no clear villain or conflict in this wonderland initially, until eventually it was revealed that it was not as wonderful as it seemed, and there was in fact an all-powerful god who ruled over everyone, who was the true evil antagonist of the arc. Could Elbaf have the same reveal? When you consider the actual structure of the Elbaf Island and the mythology that it is based off of, it quickly becomes very likely that this whole island's story setup may be very similar to Skypiea, as the idea of there being a Heaven Realm is in itself a terrifying concept, as whatever lies in Heaven Realm is something that would go beyond the Giants' civilization. We know that the Giants have a kingdom and a royal family that rules them, but interestingly that is all based here, on only the second realm, the Sun Realm. Even the royal family's castle is here in this second realm. So if the king and the ruling class of the Elbaf Giants are all here, but there is one realm that is clearly above even them, the Heaven Realm, then that strongly suggests the idea that there is in fact a realm of the gods above them, because that would be what logically follows in the hierarchy. Whatever is above even the king and the kingdom would have to be the proclaimed gods of the land, hence why it is literally referred to as the Heaven Realm. It is similar to how in Skypiea, even among the White Sea, Enel's island specifically was referred to as God's Land. And with Elbaf's structure, with the God's Land being above the giant civilization of Elbaf, it also perfectly parallels Norse mythology, which the entire civilization of Elbaf is based off of. In Norse mythology, the universe exists along a gigantic tree made up of 9 realms, known as the Yggdrasil tree. While Elbaf's Atom Tree doesn't have a full 9 realms, it seems as though Oda took the basic concept and simplified it into 3 realms. The bottom realm of the Yggdrasil tree is composed of the realms of ice and snow and the underworld, and so in Oda's version he just made the whole bottom realm the underworld in general and depicted it as icy and snowy. Then the middle layer of the Yggdrasil tree is most notably Midgard, where human civilization resides, and so in Oda's version, the middle layer is the normal realm of civilization, but for the giants in this case. And finally, in the Yggdrasil tree, the top highest layer is Asgard, home of the gods. And in Elbaf, it is exactly the same. The top realm is Heaven Realm, presumably the home of the gods. This would also perfectly follow, as it is likely that as we cannot currently see a civilization at the top of the Atom Tree, this Heaven Realm we learned of may actually be in the clouds just above the top of Elbaf's highest canopy, therefore fitting the traditional mythological idea of heaven and the gods residing in the sky. And this brings us to the most significant parallels to Skypiea. Skypiea was the other major arc in One Piece that most deeply revolved around the idea of gods, particularly evil gods and the sun god. This was the arc where we really began to learn about gods in the One Piece world, including the notion of a sun god, with this also being the arc that Luffy's foreshadowing of him actually being the sun god began. And so now we are coming full circle to Elbaf, the first island in One Piece where Luffy is truly arriving already in the role of the famous mythological sun god, and all the islanders actually already worship this very god. We've had so many questions for so long about Nika and the mythologies behind him. Elbaf is being introduced to us from the very beginning as being the island that is all about exploring the mysteries of the sun god. Even from the pre-arc flashback, we were getting hints about the importance of the sun god to the people of Elbaf. Even before the Straw Hats arrived at Elbaf, Oda was hitting us with signpost after signpost of how important Nika was going to be in the Elbaf arc and how the Giants' entire culture was steeped in Nika lore. And finally, the Elbaf arc itself is very literally beginning with not one, but two back-to-back storylines of evil wannabe sun gods. This is the most god-centric storyline we've ever had in One Piece since Skypiea. So if Skypiea was the arc where the concept of gods and the sun god was gently introduced, Elbaf is the arc where it's finally going to be explored. And most interestingly, the climax to Skypiea was of an evil false god being defeated by Luffy, who was symbolizing the sun god. Remember, in the final battle of Skypiea, as Enel was about to wipe out all the Skypieans with the Raigo, the people began to pray to another god. They began to pray for a true god to save them. And just like that, Luffy arrived as the answer to their prayers, defeating the false god and saving them all, while specifically bringing back the sun. This was the moment that Luffy's symbolism as the sun god truly began. And the key is that his role as the sun god was first cemented as he defeated an evil false god. With all the heavy parallels to Skypiea already woven into the Elbaf arc, and the extreme emphasis on the meaning of Luffy as the sun god heading into this arc, could this arc not also conclude with Luffy as the literal sun god this time defeating the false evil god of the land? In this case, it would not just be symbolic like in Skypiea, where Luffy symbolically represented the sun god. This time around, Luffy literally is the sun god and the Giants believe in him. And so he would literally be the sun god saving them from their false evil god. As such, we may very well be in for a similar type of villain to Enel, just for the nation of Elbaf this time, an evil god waiting up there in Heaven Realm. And one of the biggest pieces of foreshadowing for this concept, of Elbaf being about Luffy, the true sun god, defeating a false evil god, took place in literally the first chapters of the arc. The opening mini-arc of Elbaf featured the Straw Hats starting off in a dollhouse kingdom that is made to look remarkably similar to the true nation of Elbaf, right down to the castle. And this miniature land is ruled over by an evil false sun god. This whole setup seems like a really random choice at first. What was the point of Oda starting with this very specific scenario? Why is this toyland made to mirror the larger nation of Elbaf so closely? Could this be a very deliberate microcosm of the story of Elbaf as a whole? Could Oda be blatantly foreshadowing the very same problem that the greater nation of Elbaf faces on a grander scale? Is this battle against the evil false sun god in Legoland a hint as to Luffy's true final battle to free Elbaf itself from an evil sun god at the end of this arc? And this isn't just about potential foreshadowing. There are very real hints that this whole dollhouse scenario is getting at something bigger, because Roto's roleplay costume of the sun god is not random at all. It's very specific. In fact, Roto's quote-unquote sun god costume speaks to a major inconsistency between the sun god myth in Elbaf as we've seen it so far. See, we know that the Giants of Elbaf know what Nika looks like. The Giants could tell right off the bat that Luffy was the sun god Nika from their mythologies. They in fact state that his appearance is identical to Nika. And it's not just Dory and Brogy, all the Giants see and recognize Luffy as Nika just from his appearance. The Giants know that this is what the sun god Nika looks like. However, Roto doesn't dress up like Nika. He dresses up as this terrifying, monstrous version of a sun god. And the thing is, this isn't just Roto's personal interpretation. The Giants in general also know of this being. We can see the very same design on both Dory and Brogy's ship and Hadruden's ship. This is just bizarre. Why is this imagery so frequent among the Giants? Why would they choose to display it on their ships? And most importantly, why would Roto dress up as this and call himself the sun god if it looks nothing like Nika? Could this go back to what we were warned about? Don't stay in Elbaf for too long. Perhaps because there is an ominous being who rules the land from above. A false, self-proclaimed sun god up there in Heaven Realm. Not the kind, laughing Nika, but rather a terrifying monster who has fashioned himself to be the true sun god. Perhaps all Giants were made to pay respect to this being as their god. And so even though Dory and Brogy believe in Nika as well, it is the symbol of the deity that rules them that must be displayed on their ships. Maybe this is why Roto roleplays as this being, as it's a direct analog to what is happening to the true Elbaf. There is a mighty being in the heavens who rules the land and treats Elbaf like his own personal little toyland. I wouldn't be surprised if even a proud nation like Elbaf does not rebel against such a being, because this being may be so powerful that they literally believe him to be a god himself. Not Nika, but a different sun god. Interestingly, the idea of an island being turned into a personal toyland by an evil god is also seen in another arc, Dressrosa. And we can now actually see parallels between Skypiea, Elbaf, and Dressrosa, though you can get my extended thoughts on that, as well as why Shanks has never taken action against Elbaf's god, in my weekly podcast that just dropped by becoming a member or by supporting me on Patreon, link in the description below. This in turn would also explain Loki's motivations. Why does Loki so desperately want this fruit, and why does he want to become the sun god that will destroy the world? Loki has in fact turned out to be a slightly more sympathetic character than we realized. The fact that he has befriended these animals and is driven by freedom much like Luffy paints Loki as a more anti-hero character than simply a black and white evil figure. So considering Loki's drive for freedom, is it possible that Loki wishes to gain the power of the legendary fruit to defeat the current god that rules them? Perhaps Loki recognizes this ruler to be a false god, and Loki believes himself to be destined to be the true sun god that will one day free Elbaf, by first destroying the order that exists today. The other giants of course view Loki as a monster because he killed his own father, but at the same time it's also very possible that the Elbaf giants legitimately believe that the deity that rules them is a god, much like Roto's subjects viewed him as a legitimate god. The Elbaf giants don't know they are oppressed because they just view their god as god. This would make a lot of sense if we read into the Legoland scenario further. At first, the Straw Hats thought that all the people they were seeing were giants, but the sizes were off. Roto was the true giant, and so to all the citizens of this little toyland, the towering Roto seemed like a true god in comparison. A deity so vast that they couldn't view him as anything but a god. Now, if this scenario is a metaphor for Elbaf as a whole, then what if the being that the giants view as their god who lives in Heaven Realm is in fact proportionally a giant to them? What Roto was to the humans, this Heaven Realm god is to the giants of Elbaf. An absolutely towering being far beyond comprehension, perhaps a being so large that it would finally explain this incomprehensibly huge sword buried in the Atom Tree. So if this were the case, if there were a towering evil false sun god who resides in Heaven Realm and has made the giants believe that he is their deity, then this would connect so many plot points. To begin with, this would finally solve Elbaf's villain problem. In this arc, there is still somehow no discernible primary villain. Loki is the only decent primary antagonist candidate on the island, and he is starting the arc already tied up and defeated, with no resources and no allies. Completely helpless. I've speculated for a long time that Elbaf's true conflict may come from the outside, and while there is still a lot of evidence that this will come, it is rare for a One Piece arc to not set up any primary conflict at all this many chapters into a story arc. What is being established is that regardless of outside factors, there is a core root danger in Elbaf, and the source of that mystery is likely in the unrevealed lair of Elbaf, Heaven Realm. This false sun god would be the perfect villain for this storyline that seems to be largely about the concept of the true sun god in general. This may also finally explain the ancient giants in One Piece. In general, we've seen that ancient giants appear to be far larger than normal giants. However, even Oars and Oars Jr. are nothing compared to the likes of their ancestor back in Onigashima. Could the world once have had ancient giants so large and powerful that they would leave behind weapons as vast as what we see in Wano and Onigashima? And so could a surviving original ancient giant be so huge today that normal giants consider him a god, and they could even be treated as his toys in his little kingdom, just as Roto appears as a god to humans and treats them as his toys in his little kingdom. But first, we've got a huge holiday deal for you. Every single One Piece Island travel poster ever is now back and available again in the Morge store, with a major holiday pack discount. You can pick any 4 posters you like from the entire collection and get all of them 50% off. And don't miss out on the new posters this December. You can now get the classic islands of Water 7, Enies Lobby, Marineford, and O'Hara. We're even rolling out alternate versions of past islands like Thriller Bark, Wano, Onigashima, and more. And the best part is, if you're trying to catch up to the travel poster collection and there are just too many to choose from, you can even get the complete World of One Piece bundle, which is the entire original set of all 15 travel posters, all together discounted for the ultimate collection. So if you want to treat yourself this holiday season, or you're looking for the perfect gift for a One Piece fan you know, then hit the link in the description below and get the holiday discount posters today. Finally, this could even connect one of the most important missing pieces in One Piece, Urouge. Urouge is the final supernova that Oda has been holding off on reincorporating into the story, even beyond Bonnie, and many believe that Urouge's time has been being saved for the Elbaf arc. After all, Urouge is clearly tied to the Sky Islands, and he carries heavy religious symbolism. If Urouge is set to make his return in Elbaf, then of course that would be naturally fitting with an arc that features Sky Islands and another evil god like Enel. So overall, considering the Heaven Realm which is above even the king and the royal family, as well as the connection to Norse mythology's Asgard's Realm of the Gods, Heaven Realm of Elbaf likely is home to a god or gods. And considering the strong parallels to Skypiea, this is likely some sort of a false evil god. And considering the significance of what it means to be the sun god being a major theme of the Elbaf storyline, this being may be some sort of a false sun god. And finally, considering the entire opening mini-arc of Elbaf centered around Luffy and the Straw Hats freeing a land from a false sun god, a land that was literally meant to represent Elbaf in a microcosm, the Elbaf arc as a whole could be pointing towards sun god versus false sun god in the end. Add in the still missing role of primary antagonist of the Elbaf storyline, and it is very likely that our villain waits for us up in the heavens, the false sun god that lords over the giants of Elbaf. So let me know if you believe there is a false god in Heaven Realm in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video then definitely like and subscribe.